from the lighter side of pest control. This is the Tales from the Crawlspace podcast with your hosts, Jack and Brad.
What is up, everybody? Brad Harvey here. Welcome to Tales from the Crawlspace podcast. With me, as always, is the beautiful and bearded Jack. Jack, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, thanks. Season is upon us here in the Northern Hemisphere, and we're all busy as hell right now.
I'm seeing all these cheesy-ass fucking pest control little things you plug into the wall commercials while I'm watching my Star Trek Voyager on Pluto TV. And yeah, I'm just seeing it say, plug this in, you won't see shit anymore. So yeah, fuck that. It's that time of year. I got swarmed by gnats mowing my lawn today.
Oh crap! They need to come out with one. If you plug it in, a bug walk crawls by it. This giant dildo just comes out of the wall socket and just smashes it right there.
Oh, and you get the deluxe version with the double-headed dildo.
That's right. You know, and it alerts you that they've actually killed something by emitting a burst of cooling gel onto your countertop.
and for people with vision issues, it goes.
That's right. It does the infamous mating call.
Yes, that'd be great. I'm going to start working on a R&D for that one now.
No kidding. Oh man! Hey, I want to give a big shout out to Nick Warner tonight. Nick is the one who was the brainchild behind our topic tonight, which is fucked up and weird things you found in crawl spaces. So thanks again, Nick. Your magnet is in the mail and on its way to you. So remember, anytime that you folks can give us a suggestion for a podcast episode and we actually fall for your scheme, you'll get a magnet. Just be sure to, let us know. Come at us with your ideas. You know, Jack and I are old, we're forgetful, and our memory is bad, but we always like listening to ideas.
And I'll also be sending along a Tales from the Crawlspace sticker and patch. And for whoever it was on the depot today that when I mentioned the idea of making some PCHD Tales from the Crawlspace beer koozies, he says he still wants the banana hammock. So I'm actually researching how to have a few pairs of boxer briefs with the logos on them made so people can wear us proudly on their junk.
I am totally a buyer for that one.
I'd wear them too.
Yeah, right.
I hope I don't piss off the censors when I model it for the depot.
Yeah, nice. Well, you're gonna have to, the front. There could be business in the front, party in the back. Put that PCHD logo on the back of them. Tales from the Crawlspace in the front. That way your ass and your balls are covered.
Yeah, they do have the option to do front and back, and I think I need to do the Tales from the Crawlspace on the back because if I fart mark it up, the PCHD is gonna have a brown spot right in the middle of it.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, yeah, I guess. Scrub up, you cheese bags.
Scrub up, you cheese bags. That's right. Cheese cracks.
Speaking of shout outs, though, I want to give a shout out to, and I hope I'm saying this right because I don't know much about fraternities and stuff, but Chicky Delta Pi is a podcast that I've been enjoying. It's for the younger crowd, for the millennials, so all you younger techs out there would really find it to be real cool. It's about anything and everything. Some of it's political, some of it's just topical, and some of it's just funny. It's Chicky Delta Pi is the name of the podcast. I'll put a little link up for them on the website as well. But I listened to them. I really enjoyed them. They're younger than my general sensibilities, but I still enjoyed it. So that says something. So I think a lot of the younger guys out there, a lot of tech starting out would really dig it. So Chicky Delta Pi, thank you very much for giving us a listen and giving us a shout out and definitely giving you guys a shout out.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Chicky Delta. We really appreciated the shameless plug.
Fuck yeah.
That's right. Well, all right. Let's get into this, guys. The strange things we find in crawl space, many and varied. I was talking to my brother Daryl the other day, and he was letting me know some of the things that he'd found down in a crawl space. Now, granted, okay, this is in Indiana, the heart of the Midwest, the Bible Belt. He goes into a crawl space. What's he run into? A fucking coconut.
What?
Not exactly sure. He's not exactly sure how the coconut got there. He's not sure if it's some sort of superstitious thing. Apparently, the customer had no idea it was down there. Not sure if someone was, smuggling produce and just needed a place like a way station for his coconut. Nobody knows, and that's a pretty interesting thing to come across in a crawl space.
It was carried by a swallow who grabbed it by the husk.
That's probably true. Those swallows, they don't look like much, but man, they can really carry a payload.
Yes, they can. I mean, as evidenced on Monty Python's The Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm. Now, if it was maybe to have found like a pineapple alongside it and maybe a couple of shriveled up lemons, maybe somebody was planning on opening a tiki bar in their crawl space, but
Margaritaville, the crawl space version.
We'll never know. He also said all the way in the back of crawl space that he was in, he found a woman's class ring. So
wow,
that was
creepy.
Yeah, exactly. Not exactly sure about how that went about that the class ring would get down there. Apparently, he didn't tell me that the rest of the female was down there, so I don't think any foul play may have been involved. Could have been, maybe a rodent of some sort. Maybe he saw it on a dresser. They had a rat or a squirrel or a chipmunk or whatever get in, grabbed it, and dragged it into the crawl space. Who knows?
Did the ground look freshly dug?
Oh, like two little inverted mounds in the dirt. Like an ass was there or something. But no, Daryl didn't go into details too much about that. But I'm thinking a class ring.
It smacks of creepiness.
Did you ever have a class ring, Jack?
I did, and I fucking lost it. The year after I graduated, I was working on my 79 Monte Carlo 350 with dual quads, and I apparently had taken it off and set it somewhere in the frame of the car while I was working and forgot about it.
Ooh, shit.
And so it's somewhere between Thornburg, Virginia, and Fredericksburg, Virginia on a back road somewhere. So,
good grief.
But I might get another one. Do you think Jostens keeps the information for that shit this many years?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what. I still have the bill of sale for my class ring back in 1981, and it was in a bunch of my shit. And I was thinking, you know what? Because I too have lost my class ring, and I'll get to that story here in a second. But I was like, because it's like I think it was Herff Jones that we used at our high school for the class rings. But anyway. I was like, one of these days when I have some disposable income, I might give them a call and see if they could redo my order. But fuck it, high school was not my favorite time of my life. But anyway, I lost my fucking class ring story, which has absolutely nothing to do with crawl spaces, and that's just one of the goat paths that we go here on Tales from the Crawl Space.
Yes, we do.
Like I always say, we do this for you. Anyway, I was working at a meat shop. Over on the west side of Indianapolis. And this is the meat shop where I met my beautiful bride, Ellen. The meat shop that in question always ran a special on ground beef. It was that you would get a 10-pound bag of ground beef just in a plastic ass bag for $10. We're just dumping ground beef in these plastic bags, 10 pounds of it, with special instructions is when you get this home, separate it and freeze it because it will go rotten on the middle. But so, I spent an entire shift shoving ground beef into these plastic bags.
Oh, no.
And at the end of the day, I go to wash my hands and my class ring is gone. So it had ended up somewhere in anywhere from 90 to 100 bags of ground beef. So,
oh God,
I don't know if my class ring was ever destroyed. I imagine it is lodged in the lower intestine of someone in Indianapolis to this day.
Or there's a dentist who, was able to get the fancy rims on his Mercedes because someone busted their fucking teeth on it.
That's probably true as well. It apparently never came back to me. So,
damn.
No, I'm imagining, either that or, somebody shit an incredibly heavy turd but
that's gotta hurt. Oh.
It may be in there. It may still be, lodged up in there somewhere. Doctors are baffled. So But
Oh, man.
And I loved my class ring too. It was a non-precious metal because we were poor as fuck. It had a black onyx stone on it with the first initial of my name, A for asshole, and it was just a really slick looking class ring, and I kind of miss it.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? I'm almost 60 now. Fuck it, that was how long ago?
I was just thinking how long it's been for me. I'm like, God damn, because my alumni weekend's coming up in 2 weekends from now. I'm going to be traveling down to Central Virginia to see some guys I haven't seen in a dog's age.
Yeah.
So, but no, to segue from rings to rings, I will say that in Crawlspaces, some of the strange things I have found cock rings and condoms, used condoms, and underwear. Now, when I worked around Baltimore, I found crack pipes in crawl spaces and teeth, usually in the same crawl space, teeth and crack pipes.
That stuff makes them drop out pretty quick.
Oh yeah. I was like, who the fuck was eating Tic Tacs? That's not a Tic Tac.
Man.
But crack pipes, several places, stashes of weed. I've seen, porn, lots of porn. And I guess some kids going down there, rubbing one out and where no one can catch them.
Yeah.
I remember the first one of our first episodes way back when. I think they found a dead cat, and a snake, all within close proximity to each other. And I would have loved to have watched that battle.
Oh, Crawlspace Octagon. Oh, nice.
That would have been awesome to see. But I just imagine, apparently it's one of those crawl spaces where they did the addition, so they cut this small hole out to go from the old side to the new side. And whoever it was crawled through, and that's the first thing they fucking saw right in front of them. I'm like, ooh. But I would have loved to have seen that. But
I would have paid to have seen that, Jack.
Oh, fuck yeah, I would have paid to have seen that. I mean, it's like I used to love watching that. Was it Ricky Tikki Tavi, that that cartoon where he's fighting the cobra, and that always got me all excited. I can imagine a fucking rat, cat, and a snake going at it.
Yeah. Other animals surrounding them, just hollering at them and egging them on, fight. Making bets and shit. It's just like
kick them in the balls. Oh, snakes don't have balls, do they?
Odds are 4-1 on the snake.
There's some fucking possum taking bets.
Just walking around taking walnuts from the other animals.
I will tell you the most fucked up thing that personally happened to me in a crawl space. I was in Martinsburg, and it was snowing outside, and I was getting down to this crawl space doing a termite inspection, and I feel something on the back of my neck start walking down my shirt, and I kind of tense up, going, "Oh my God, what's that? Please don't say what it is. Please no." And I felt little things along with it, like kind of spread out from the main thing. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. And I had a feeling I knew what it was. The homeowners had seen a few brown recluse in the crawl space in the past. So I slowly turn around with very, very deliberately slow, soft movements and crawled myself back out of the little porthole door on the side of the house and got outside and proceeded to undress. And it was snowing, and I was sitting in the snow, and I was unbuttoning my shirt. And as I was unbuttoning it, the mama brown recluse goes hopping off of me and into the snow and just kind of seizes up because it's so fucking cold. And I lay back in the snow very slowly and lay there for about 5 minutes, freezing my ass off. And the homeowner comes around and they're like, "Oh my God, your lips are blue." And I'm like, "Yeah, brown recluse." Yeah. And then when I finally sit up and I look back at the snow, I've got tons of brown recluse babies that were all over my back.
Whoa.
She had her babies on her back when she went down the back of my shirt, and they all come off when they came in contact with the shirt.
Oh, I'm speechless.
I was crap. so glad I almost shit myself. If I'd have known from the beginning what it was, I wouldn't shit myself, and I probably would have freaked and been dead by now. Because I tell you, those necrotic lesions they leave under your flesh is just not pretty at all.
No, fortunately, I've not had that experience myself, but I've seen pictures, and yeah, you're right. It does not look like a good time.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But a buddy of mine who was. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, just going back to the good times, you're talking about finding bags of weed and whatnot. My little brother Mark surprised me with a visit yesterday, and we talked. And he goes, Mark was in pest control for a number of years. He shared a story with us about James Cox on our previous, pest control folks, friends who've passed away. But he came in, he goes, "You got any more magnets?" I was like, "Well, yeah." So I gave him a magnet, and he slaps it on his HVAC truck, and he goes, "Get a picture of it for the depot." I was like, "All right."
Nice.
The HVAC guy's in on the act. So,
yeah.
But he goes, "I got a story for you." He goes, "You remember so-and-so? He's in my neighborhood. You guys serviced him at your company, but, I was out doing some work for him. I got into his crawl space, and I'm looking at his, around his plenum, and he's like, 'What the hell's that?' He looks over, and it's a bag of weed that is tied to a string, a piece of twine, and the twine is going all the way up to the floor. And so apparently whoever was stashing this stuff was pretty ingenious. Puts it on a string, drops it through the register, and that way he can fish it back when he wants to get high. And that's fucking brilliant. I thought I was brilliant because when I was living at home, we took the door, the bedroom door at the very top. We took a chunk of the board out, and so because it's hollow in there, we created a little floor for it, and that was where we stashed our stuff. And I told Mark that story. He goes, "You never told me that." I said, "Yeah, because I think I might need that, some other time in life." But yeah, I mean my dad had been through my room plenty of times, and he never found a speck of weed. My paraphernalia and stuff I kept over in my brother's room so he could get busted for it. But the actual product itself went in the door hollow. My old man never found it. I told him that story last year, and he goes, "I just don't believe you guys."
Was that the time that you got him high? Because I remember you telling me about that.
No. This was after that. But yeah, he's like, "No, I don't want to do that again." He was asking about some other stuff. But yeah, got my dad high. I'm so ashamed. Not. All the shit he gave me over the years.
Yeah, about time you simmered down. Holy shit.
But I'll tell you what, Jack, some of a really interesting thing happened to me in a crawl space that actually involved bugs and not weed and dildos and rubbers and things that. Yeah. I'm out at a customer's house. I may have told this story again, but that's too bad. You're going to listen to it again. Out at a customer's house, they had camel crickets, like something fierce. And I open up the hatch to the crawl space, and there's 7 or 8 camel crickets, just right around the edge of it. They're crawling back into the darkness. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I shot them out. I get down there, and I've got the power sprayer rolling. I'm dragging hose under there to because I'm going to hit around the rim joists and whatnot on a real low pressure stuff, and I get under there and I shine my flashlight out, and I shit you not, the scenery, when I shine my flashlight on these things, looked like something out of a Lord of the Rings movie.
Oh.
Where, the camel cricket, they were legion. They were fucking legion. Thousands of these sons of bitches. They saw me, and I don't know if it really happened or not, but in my mind, they were charging me. And I was like, "Oh, not today, guys." So I hit that sucker. I adjusted it to a pin stream, and I just blasted it. I just went across that line. There's a little hump in the dirt in the crawl space, and they're crawling over it, heading for me, and I'm just blasting them off. And they're rolling back it's just like a carpet of camel crickets, just rolling backwards from the stream. And I'm just like, "You motherfuckers." And I'm just going through this damn thing. And oh my God, I had such a blast. And the guy called 3 days later bitching because he had like hundreds of camel crickets up in his house. I was like,
Oh, wow.
sorry, man, it was me or the crickets. I went back, I cleaned the place up, but holy shit, it haunts me to this day, Jack.
I would have loved to have seen that.
It was something else. I've never seen it since, and it pisses me off because it was just so awesome. It was just like, God, I could hear that. I could hear that new age music in the background as I was blasting them and shit. And it was wonderful. So yeah. The bugs are one thing. The 6-legged motherfuckers are one thing. It's the 4-legged motherfuckers that kind of get you too. I'm in a house. The guy's got a crawlspace access is in his laundry room. I open the door up, stick my head underneath there. I look, I'm shining my flashlight kind of off of the periphery from the beam. I see 2 dots glowing back at me.
Ooh.
So I'm like, okay, there's a critter down here. And those eyes just kept getting bigger and bigger. And then I hear it hissing. It's like, oh, fuck this, man. I just backed up, slammed that bastard down. And I heard it clawing at the bottom of the hatch. It's like, that dude wanted to kick my ass. They had a raccoon in there that had the fucking attitude. So
they get angry. They do get angry.
The best part about that is the company I was working for at the time did not do wildlife. So we got to sub that one out.
Well, I tell you, one of the cool bug involved things I found doing in Crawlspace work, I did a lot of WDOs. Mm-hmm. And in a low crawl, these next 2 stories both happen in Annapolis. In low crawl, I found a termite carton nest that went from the ground up with this carton nest that was suspended in between the underside of the floor, the joists, and the fucking ground. It was just like hanging there. It was the coolest fucking thing.
Wow.
I actually removed it and carefully got it outside and took it back to the office. I thought it was the coolest damn thing, but that was awesome. I had this other house I was doing a WDO. The place was empty, and the gigantic McMansion of a house. Mm-hmm. Their crawl space was, and I mentioned this last season, the crawl space was very well concreted, very smooth concrete. Mm-hmm. And they had a mechanics creeper in there, and I was just like zooming all over the place. I mean, the inspection went very easily and quickly, being that I was on a mechanics creeper. I just kind of laid on my back and did the whole, like set up a grid thing to check everything. Mm-hmm. But then I spent the next 15 minutes getting on one wall and like pushing off as hard as I can to zoom across the crawl space to the other side. Yeah. And I think I was fucking around there for about 15 minutes, just zooming around and giggling like a 12-year-old. But it was great, man. I mean, it was a beautiful crawl space. It was all well lit. It was like a room for midgets. Mm-hmm. Nice concrete floor, well lit. Everything was nice and clean. I mean, there wasn't even one fucking cobweb in that damn thing. It was gorgeous. Oh, just zooming around. I think that's also the episode last season that I asked Red Wing to sponsor us because I love their boots so much. Red Wing, Mr. and Mrs. Red Wing, I really love your boots, and even though I'm retired, I would still love a pair. So if you'd be so kind as to sponsor the show and get me and Brad a pair of Red Wings, we'll be happy to mention you every single episode.
I have 2 words for you, Red Wing. King toe.
Ooh.
King toe, baby.
Yeah, that's some good shit, man.
It ain't no kidding. I got me a new pair of golden retrievers. Retrievers. Fucking Irish setters. I got me a pair of pugs these are made by Red Wing. I love them. I love them so much that today I was installing some termite bait stations and I didn't want to get them dirty. So I grabbed my old 6-year-old king toes, slapped them fuckers on, and they got muddy instead. Yes. Tales from the Crawl Space loves you, Red Wing.
Just be sure you don't step in any shih tzu while you're doing it.
That ain't no kidding, because those grooves, those treads are deep in our Red Wing, man, and it takes a minute to get it out of there. But you know what? That's okay. You're cleaning the customer's yard when you step in dog shit because you're taking it with you.
Hell yeah! But I tell you, and you're doing it in a pair of fucking Cadillacs, man. I'll tell you,
you're not shitting. You are not a shitting. Okay, last story I have involving a funny thing I saw in a crawl space. I'd say the funniest thing I ever saw in a crawl space was a trainee. It was his first day out with good old Brad, and we were running up to Pendleton, Indiana. We were doing a termite job. We had to do a spot treat. We were putting some bait out, but we decided we wanted to get a spot treatment done on a particularly gnarly area of activity because we wanted to get the activity stopped down a little bit so the bait could do the rest of the work. So, unbeknownst to me, this gentleman was not a big fan of crawl spaces. And I looked at the graph and I looked at where the access was, and then I looked at where the activity was we were going to have to go to, and it was basically the journey to the center of the earth. Now, I don't want to use the guy's name, so I'll use an assumed name. Chris Higbee was my trainee, and he wasn't a big fan of crawl spaces. So we went, it's like, come on, man, best way to conquer your fears is to get in there and let's get her done. We get in there, and the ductwork is a myriad of fuckery down there. We're talking very close to ground level in some of the areas, but the areas that we, of course, had to get to. So I'm squeezing myself underneath the ductwork and the dirt. I'm getting myself, I'm meeting a lot of resistance here because, let's face it, I'm a fat guy. And, he was a little bit thinner and he was having issues too. And I would say the guy was initially terrified, but by the time he got done and we emerged from the center of the earth, the guy was a pro. He conquered his fear, and he's gone on now and conquered a lot of other things that he's wanted to do in life. And
awesome.
I like to feel like we played a role in it, but it was so fucking funny when it was happening. I'm telling you, it's like, I'm the kind of guy that, I want to get the shitty stuff done first and then save the easy stuff for dessert, So, I know guys that'll plant stations first and then do the crawl space work. No, I'm not that guy, man. I go in and I attack that shit first, get it out.
Oh yeah. I'm the same way.
And, I try to do that with anything. And, I'm kind of glad that I was there. Because I think if anybody else was in there, they would have blew him a ration of shit, and he would have been kind of no, the guy's still in the business. He's being pretty successful at it, and so hats off to you, wink, wink, Chris Higbee.
Well, Chris Higbee, good on you. I think the last one I got to mention wasn't really what was in the crawl space; it was what was happening outside of the crawl space while I was in it. I did this house in a very progressive neighborhood, and it was these two gentlemen who were very happy to be with each other. More fucking power to them. Mm-hmm. And their crawl space door was tiny, and I had to just about grease myself up to get in it. It's like shoving 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag trying to get me through that door. But as I did, and I'm going to the crawl space, when I get to the far side of the house, I hear these noises, and at first it sounded like someone was pacing the room above me. Judging by the sounds of ecstasy that were coming through the floor, they were enjoying some recreational time, figuring that if I had a hard enough time getting into the crawl space, it'd take me even longer to get out, so they had a bit of time to knock one off. And that's exactly what they were doing. And there was no insulation, so you could just about hear everything. Ooh. And I just kept on doing what I was doing, and tried to bang around quite a bit getting out, so they realized that I was done, so I wouldn't have to holler in the house, hey, while they're the guys
going at it
mid-stroke.
That's mighty considerate of you, Jack.
I didn't want to cock block him. Really didn't want to cock block him.
No, I mean, I don't care who you are. You don't cock block.
They're enjoying some leisure time. Far be it from me to interrupt.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I had one, this was an outside treatment though, but I was treating past, by a window and heard the cries of passion. And yeah, it's anybody that's tearing them off some, you just kind of want to reach in the window and give them a high five, but that's not good policy.
No, it's not. And it might creep some people out, although, sometimes I could totally see a fist bump through the window in the middle of it. I mean, but, you got to take your chances with love when and where you can find it. So
absolutely,
that's what they were doing.
Yeah. No kidding. So, hey, Jack, what do we got going on next week?
Next week, we have horrible salesman, crazy salesman stories. And I think I'm going to call the episode The Salesman from Hell. Dun, dun, dun.
Salesman from Hell, yes. Yep, the good, the bad, the ugly of sales, the desperation, the angst, the anguish, the horror.
The stupidity.
The blind stupidity.
Oh, my God.
Yes, the pressure to get that sale by any means necessary. We'll have it here for you next week on Tales from the Crawlspace.
Oh, you know I got some shit to say about that.
Oh, I'm sure you do, Jack. Can't wait to hear it. So on behalf of us at Tales from the Crawlspace, my favorite Facebook group, Pest Control Humor Depot, Jack and I, thank you very much for listening. Now, bug the hell off.
Bug off. Thanks for listening to Tales from the Crawlspace podcast. You can find us on just about every single podcast outlet there is online. So be sure to subscribe, and we'll have a new episode next week. Don't forget, you can find us on Instagram at TFTC Podcast, on Twitter at Crawlspace Tales, and you can also find us on Facebook at the Pest Control Humor Depot. See you next week.